Hey everybody, we got a slightly different video for you this week. Nick has been here basically this entire week from Sunday through Thursday, and we were shooting a bunch of stuff for the PTO, Professional Triathletes Organization, about Paula and her involvement in the Canadian Open. She's basically like the figurehead of that race, and they want to do a documentary around her and around Lionel and the whole thing, and it's going to be one of their bigger productions of the year, and it was a huge honor that they hired Nick and I to film it. So that's what we spent the whole week doing. The next 2 days we're doing a photo shoot with Zip, so we don't have a lot of time for anything really, but I wanted to Paula and I wanted to share with you a couple of a workout that she did on her as she prepares for Edmonton, the Canadian time trial national championships, and the bike that she'll be riding for that. So first, I'll give you a little sneak peek of what we filmed for the PTO, and then we'll get to the bike stuff.
Okay, so as we've showed a little bit on Instagram, I'm racing the Canadian Time Trial Championships next week, which are in Edmonton, where I'm from, which is part of the reason I'm doing it. But the thing about deciding to do this race is it's a UCI race, and the Shiv used for triathlon is not UCI legal. So basically, in order to do this race, I needed a UCI legal time trial bike, and that is the Shiv TT, which is this. It's a gorgeous bike. At first glance, it might not appear super different than the Shiv Triathlon bike, but it does have a lot of key differences, and it rides very differently as well. I have really loved training on this over the last month and doing some hard workouts on it. It's got narrower down tubes, narrower everything. Like, it's just a lot lighter than the Shiv Triathlon bike. The Shiv Triathlon bike is really meant for having all of this integrated storage and hydration, which you don't really need on a time trial because it's so short. And the race I'm doing next week in Edmonton for the national championships is only 32 kilometers. So the water tub at the back that I have on my triathlon bike is not necessary for a Shiv TT. And then just all of the geometry and specifications that the UCI puts in place for being legal is what this bike delivers. And because there's no rules in triathlon about the geometry, they've gone all out to create the most aero fast bike that they possibly can for triathlon. So 2 very different purposes. I'm still riding both bikes, but because the race is next week, I'm focusing a little bit more on the Shiv TT. The main differences I find is just the handling is a little bit different. I find that the Shiv TT rides a lot more like a road bike. And I'm not really sure why that is, but it feels lighter, it feels more responsive. The triathlon bike, once you get it up to speed, it is so fast, but the acceleration is a little bit more lethargic, I'd say. We've tried to match up the front ends pretty close on both of them. I think ideally if I was focusing on TT only riding and these shorter time trial races, I would be more aggressive on this bike. But because of the short period of time I've had to adjust to riding it, we've tried to match up pretty closely on the front end so that it's not a totally different position, because ultimately this is kind of doing it for fun, and the last thing I want to happen is to get injured or to be not comfortable on the bike and have that limit my performance. So on a UCI legal bike, the saddle nose has to be 5 centimeters behind the bottom bracket, and that is not the case on the Shiv Triathlon bike. So for me, it's slightly back, but my position's not super far forward to begin with, so it wasn't a huge adjustment to get used to that. I don't really notice the difference. I do switch a lot between riding the tarmac road bike, my diverge gravel bike, my Shiv Triathlon bike, and this. So I'm not so used to only riding one position. I do have some flexibility, I guess. So it wasn't a huge stretch to get used to these minor changes on this. I have this Specialized Shiv TT saddle on both bikes, so that's exactly the same. No changes there. And a lot of people ask what saddle we use. Eric and I both use this one. It's super, super comfortable. Another main difference of these two is that the Shiv Triathlon bike has storage in the nose for a blip box with SRAM. This one doesn't, so we had to use wireless blips on both the extensions and on the base bars. I can't talk too much about that because Eric set it all up for me, but all I know is there's no blip box. These are completely wirelessly attached to the shifters, to the derailleurs. And obviously it's a 1x, so there's only a rear derailleur, but everything is wireless, so nothing coming from here into a blip box in the storage or anything. The time trial that I'm doing is relatively flat, so the 1x and the same gearing I have on my tri bike works. Might even do a 1028 instead of a 1033. The TT, I'll be using a disc on the back and an 858 in the front. A lot of the time for triathlon, I'll use a disc on the back and a 454 on the front, just because the marginal gains you get from an 858, sometimes it feels a little twitchy in the crosswinds for me, so I prefer the 454 for like a 2-hour race. But for this, I'm just gonna go as fast as possible. So the fastest setup is the 858 with the disc on the back. Also, the training has been very different for this race. I'm doing more short, specific, high power stuff where I'm trying to hit like 300, 320 watts for 5 minutes at a time or 10 kilometers at a time, versus my watts for triathlon are probably 40 or 50 lower because it's such a longer race. So we've just been focusing more on the high end, and the workouts themselves are relatively short because on this fit in this position, it shouldn't be the kind of position you can hold for 2 hours. It should be more aggressive and more aero, and it's just like getting in and getting out. So 30-minute warm up, do the intervals, cool down, and you're done. That's been the nature of the workouts lately, and then some long rides on the weekend riding the tarmac or the tri bike. Do you have the keys for this? It's getting worse. It's not getting better. TT day is a fail. Okay. We are driving out to Sun River. My workout today is 2x10 kilometer time trials in preparation for the Canadian Time Trial Championships. So I'll be riding the Shiv TT, and there's a really smooth, nice road out here that's pretty flat that we're going to do it on. It's pouring rain. We're hoping out in Sun River it lightens up a bit, or at least lightens up by the time we start. The road will probably be wet, but I don't know. I got to do this workout today, so we're just going to deal with the conditions. Right, Eric?
Beautiful Oregon day.
We got the dogs with us because I don't even know why. Very dumb decision. They like coming along for the ride.
Emotional support team.
Emotional support team. And I got my nails done. Pink. Pink nails.
Just done all the things we can do.
Yeah.
Again.
We're going for it. Going for it. We got clear lenses. You know you're serious when you put clear lenses on. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know I don't have to even ride today. It's up to you, babe.
Well, I
Do you
have to do this.
Do you think you'll be able to do it better here, or even if we drive home and you do it on the trainer? That's the question.
Right. Well, it defeats the purpose too, don't you?
Yeah. I'm wet now, but it's not cold.
But I don't want to leave my Gore-Tex Castelli jacket on the side of the road.
No, don't do that. I'll carry it.
Okay.
10K, 10 minutes, 10K.
So if I lose you for some reason, then I'll be flipping.
Okay. Are there any mini goals for this? Well, I hit 317 on that one. I missed the first minute of riding.
I was 296.
Nice.
But it was like fucking all downhill.
I think that's good practice, honestly, because you'll be going a little faster when you race. It's like motor pacing. It wasn't downhill enough to be like, I mean, you never ran into gears, right?
No, but it's scary in the rain with cars.
Yeah. No, I think you did great. It was scary and you did great. You turning? I mean, to me, that's a bigger deal than getting 1 watt higher on.
I could have gone over 300 watts if I was uphill.
Yeah, well, this is real, so. What's up, squad? Did you miss us?
Glenn, Jimmy, come. Come.
Get Jimmy.
Closing words, thoughts, anything?
Well, it was fun except for the weather. I enjoyed it. It's kind of fun to be like going distance based versus time based, because the more aero you are, the faster you're going to be done the 10K. So it just changes your mindset. You're not like counting down the minutes, you're like looking at the distance.
Yeah, 100% agree.
It's like totally different. I've never done that before.
Well, like if you just do hill repeat, like if you're just doing hill repeats to the top of a hill, it's like that.
Kinda, yeah, but this is different because if you're going more aero, you're going faster. So
Yeah.
it's different than a hill.
like, I have to say, completely comfortable. This jacket,
Oh yeah.
freaking amazing. Like, I'm slightly, just a
I
little.
was comfortable too. Like I wasn't cold.
Yeah. And then the booties, I put my socks like just below the rubber ring on the booties. Feet are super happy. Very, very impressed with this jacket. I was getting blasted by your wake.